The NHL might be on break, but we certainly are not. This is the Dump and Chase podcast presented by the Hoosier Network and this special Winter Olympics edition. I'm Noah Bedoris with Jack Rizzo and Noah Seuss. Fellas, we're talking about Olympic hockey today. It's going to be a good one. I was saying it could be a very short episode depending on how much we can agree on, but it might be one of our longest of the season. Jack, what are you most looking forward to for this Winter Olympics? Just in general.
Really, just to see the NHL guys back. I mean, when Seuss and I were writing our little article last night that we're going to publish late this week, we realized that the last time the NHL players played in the Winter Olympics, it was Sochi 2014. The Xbox One had just come out. The Chicago Blackhawks were the defending Stanley Cup champions, and Macklin Celebrini was 8 years old.
Oh, yeah.
It has certainly been a very long time since we have seen the NHLers play on the world stage, and I am excited because the vast majority of the NHLers representing their countries, this is their first time we're going to see them in the Olympics, so I am beyond excited to see this Olympics commence.
Yeah, the Olympics has brought us some iconic moments. The Crosby golden goal, the TJ Oshie shootout.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like there's going to be a lot more coming in this Winter Olympics.
Absolutely. I think, honestly, what I'm most excited about is just getting a break from NHL hockey and not having to watch the Blues for a couple weeks.
I can second that.
It was, if this wasn't, the Olympic edition episode, St. Louis Blues would have been my not team of the week. Absolutely. And I need to give a shout out to my friend Jackson Romanick because during that Blues Preds game, up by 4 goals, and he texts me and says, we're going to blow this game. We're absolutely going to blow this game. And they did because the St. Louis Blues are not a good team right now. But let's jump back into our not regularly scheduled programming, but our special programming for this week's episode. Jack, I want to start with you. You talked about getting to see, the world's best on the world stage. Who specifically are you most excited to see in this Winter Olympics?
Well, I think it's only fair that I pick a player who we did not see play in the Four Nations face-off. I'm going to go with David Pastrnak of the Boston Bruins, representing Czechia, Czech Republic, whatever you want to call it, in the Winter Olympics. He has had an unbelievable season. He's been one of the most consistent forwards in the league over the last 5 years. The Bruins are having a phenomenal season, way better than any of us were expecting. He's really going to be leading the Czechs on this world stage. And I think that with the way Pastrnak has played this year, I expect him to have a fantastic Olympics. And I really think that he alone could make the Czechs competitive in the Olympics. I think they're probably one of the 5 best teams in this Olympic year, and I am really looking forward to seeing him play on the world stage. We did not see him play in the 2014 Olympics. I'm excited to see him play in the 2026 Olympics in Italy, pretty close to his home country.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the fun things about this Czech team, led by Pasta, is that they're in a pool that is, fronted by Canada, but is very winnable, in my opinion. Canada's not one of the stronger Canadian rosters that we've seen in recent years. The goaltending is a major issue for them. And so I think you might see, a guy, what?
Wait, they're in Finland.
You're looking at Google AI right now.
I am looking at Google AI.
Jack, can you confirm this?
Are they?
What are you
pool
asking?
Are they in?
Yeah, Czech is in the pool with Canada, Switzerland, and France.
Canada, Switzerland, and France.
Yeah.
Why is Google AI telling me different things?
Because AI is evil and wrong. Yeah.
So don't use AI, guys.
Don't use
Either way,
AI.
back to what I was saying. The Czechs could win this pool easily, in my opinion, just because Canada's not as strong as we're used to, and with Jordan Binnington Logan in net, I think that Pasta could feast on some weak goaltending.
Definitely. I really like this whole Czech roster, to be quite honest, but Pasta is really the top guy here. And I could absolutely see him I could see him being the best player in the entire Olympics for any team, any player. I think he's going to be that good. And I really think that the Czechs have a chance to surprise a lot of people at the Olympics this year.
When you look at this roster, Pasta is going to be the main guy producing, but there is a lot of NHLers on this roster. You have Thomas Hertl, you have Andre Palat, Marty Necas. There's some great NHLers. Pavel Zacha, his teammate in Boston. This team, like you said, Jack, could be top 5. They could compete with teams like Finland and Sweden for that bronze medal, in my opinion. I don't think they're upper tier like Canada or the U.S., but they can definitely compete for a medal.
And goaltending is also a big strength for them as well.
Very big. Yes.
I love Dan Vladar. Dostal's excellent goaltender. You have 3 NHL goalies on this roster, which is something that a lot of teams can't say.
I'm going to save the rest of it for when we get to what team, for
Absolutely.
our team specifically.
Sure.
I'll get more into it there.
Let's move on to you then. Who are you most excited to see perform on this world stage?
I'm going to talk about a player that also didn't play in the Four Nations face-off. That is Macklin Celebrini. He is at the ripe age of 19 years old. the youngest player on Team Canada, and I'm very excited to see what he can do playing against the league's best in this competition. This is his first time, besides the World Juniors, playing with the Maple Leaf on his chest, and I think he's going to be really, really good for this Canada team. If you play him with players like McDavid, like Crosby, I think he's just going to be amazing. If he's doing it on the Sharks, just imagine what he can do with the best.
Yeah, I want to ask you specifically about that, the roster makeup you just talked about, where you have guys like McDavid and Crosby, but you also have, Celebrini. What is the importance of having that balance of, young guys and vets on a team like Canada that has the prestige, has the reputation for being so good? How important is it to have that constant funnel of young guys coming in?
I feel like it's great to have the young guys play because then you're just going to be slow. Because the league is just getting faster and faster as the years go on. So if you keep bringing in these young guys, they're going to make this Canada team better and better each and every 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the way Macklin plays in the Olympics. I mean, just the improvement from year 1 to year 2 is pretty significant. I mean, he had a -31 last year. He has a +10 this year. 53 assists for Macklin Celebrini. I'd put him on a line with 2 top goal scorers for Team Canada because Macklin Celebrini is proving to be one of the best dishers in the league right now. If you put him on a line with some of Canada's top goal scorers, I think that could be one of the most effective lines here in the Olympics. I am excited to see the way this young man plays in the Olympics. Again, 19 years old. You have that, as you guys mentioned, that nice balance of very young talent and also veteran talent. I mean, Sidney Crosby still captaining this team. He's still as good as ever. I am really excited to see the way Macklin Celebrini fits into Team Canada here at the Olympics.
I think that Canada obviously has an excellent roster of forwards. That's undeniable. And we've talked about how the goaltending is a big question mark. The defense is also an issue for me, just looking at this roster, where, if you have an excellent set of defensemen, you don't have to worry as much about your goalies, and you can hope that a guy like Binnington or Kemper or Thompson can show up. But past the forwards, I feel like this Canada roster is a little bit lacking.
Yeah, their first pair on defense is really good. You have the Colorado pairing of Makar and Taves. But then you look after that, and it's kind of bad.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have needed a Matthew Schaefer, I'm going to be honest with you, to replace, I think, a Colton Parayko or Travis Sanheim. I don't think those two are the greatest defensemen in the world. But I do like Shea Theodore, and I do like Thomas Hartley.
I agree. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that it lacks depth.
It does lack depth.
When you're playing in a full tournament, you're going to have to rely on these guys to be on their A game because your goaltending is weak.
There's one big snub on the defensive core. That's Darren Radish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right now in the Norris Trophy conversation, my opinion, he's going to be a free agent. He's going to get paid a lot of money. I don't know how he's not here on Team Canada. You could argue he's been... I think he's probably, other than Makar, he's probably the best defenseman out of all the ones on this list this year. Where is Darren Radish? Especially with John Cooper as Team Canada's coach, how in the world did he not make this roster?
Yeah.
I really have no idea. And I agree. I do think that this defense core is a bit lacking, and I think it could come back to. I think it can come back to hurt Team Canada once we get down the road in the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, especially like you said, down the road it could hurt them. In group play right now, I'm not worried about Canada not having enough firepower to just outscore the Czechs or the Swiss or the French. But once you get into, the nitty-gritty and the tournament play of this Olympics, we'll see how much the offense can really carry them.
I also like that Canada has Tom Wilson on this team because the Four Nations was such a physical tournament. You saw the Kachuk brothers fighting right off the draws, and Tom Wilson's going to toughen them up a little bit. So they're ready for the fights against the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, there will not be any fights at the Olympics. It's like in the code of conduct or whatever that they can't fight, which is really unfortunate because Four Nations face-off was amazing.
It was great.
But, yeah.
Player that I'm most excited to see on the world stage is somebody who has taken a back seat for most of his career but is going to be the guy on an underrated team. That's Leon Draisaitl, representing Team Germany in this Olympics. This Germany roster has almost nobody after Draisaitl, and that's what makes me excited to see him play, not because I think that he can necessarily, carry this team to a, semifinal appearance, but just getting to see Draisaitl perform as the, sole option, as the main goal scorer, compared to what we're used to seeing with such a stacked Edmonton offense. Seeing Leon carry an offense is going to be fun for me.
Yeah, to see him flourish in his own situation where he is the number one option 100%. This is like if Leon left the Oilers and went to trying to think of a team. I can't even think of one.
Calgary.
Yeah, like Calgary. And he's the only guy that can put the biscuit in the oven.
Could you imagine a trade between Edmonton and Calgary? I don't think
I
I don't think that would ever happen. I think that this Germany team has some potential. I know there's not many pieces, but if you look at their top three forwards, Leon Draisaitl, Tim Stützle, JJ Peterka, that could be a really formidable top line if they pair those three together.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you have Philip Grubauer as one of your potential goaltenders. He's had a phenomenal year in Seattle. I don't know how far Germany's going to go, but if Grubauer could have a Jordan Binnington Four Nations Face-Off S-type performance, I think that Germany can surprise some people. Not to mention, you have one of the 5 best players in the world headlining your forward core.
Yep.
I think there's some potential here for Germany. Their roster isn't as well balanced as some of these other teams, but they have the potential to make a name for themselves here at the Olympics.
Germany, I'll talk about them more later when we get into surprise team of the tournament. But I think Germany benefits a lot just from the group that they're going to play in group play, where you have the U.S. and then Germany and Latvia and Denmark. Very possible that Germany gets that second place spot. And I think even people would expect Germany to get that second place spot. So we'll move into getting set for these opening games next week. Jack, I want to start with you. What is the most exciting opening game?
Yeah, this was a tough one. There are some good games, but I'm going to go with the home country, Italy, taking on Sweden. I really, really like Sweden in this tournament. I think they have a great roster. I don't think there's really many weaknesses on Team Sweden, to be honest. Now, granted, people might be wondering why I'm saying Italy, because I don't believe they have a single NHLer on the roster, but come on, they are the home country in this tournament. You never know with home countries in tournaments.
I mean, do you think that they'll have home fans?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
It's Italy. I mean, Italy is like 50 million people.
I know, but do you think Italians are going to say, let's go watch a hockey game?
Just go back to the 2018 World Cup when Russia had all of these soccer fans going to all these games. Has Russia ever been known for soccer?
Yeah, but soccer's...
Russia made it to the...
Soccer.
Yeah, soccer.
Russia made it to the elite, to the quarterfinals, not known for soccer. Italy's not known for hockey. Who knows?
And there's also 80 billion Russians.
Yeah. No, 80 billion. No, Russia's like twice the population of Italy. Which,
I'm exaggerating, Jack.
Granted, Russia's like way bigger than Italy is geographically. I think there will be fans in Italy. I really do.
Okay.
Get behind your home country. I think there's a lot of national pride in Italy. I think they're going to show out. Not to mention, again, it's hockey. Anything can happen. And I'm excited to see Italy in their home country take on a team that I think has a very real shot of winning this whole tournament. We haven't talked a lot about Sweden yet. I'm sure we'll talk more about them later on in this episode, but I think Sweden just has such a well-balanced roster. And again, I'm excited to see what the turnout is for the fans in Italy and to see how this Italy team looks like against the rest of the world.
So do you think Italy has a shot in this Group B?
I do.
Really?
I do. They're the home country. And again, it's hockey. You never know what can happen. Nobody gave Russia a shot in 2018. No one's given other teams in world stages a shot. No one gave the U.S. a shot in 1980. Anything can happen in Olympic hockey.
So is your grandpa rooting for Team Italy?
No.
Okay.
So my most exciting opening game is Slovakia versus Finland. I am very excited to see how Team Finland's going to come out without Sasha Barkov. He was a key piece to this team at the Four Nations face-off. The goaltending for Finland is very questionable, but I like UC Saros in net for them. The defense is really good. The offense has a lot of pieces. And Slovakia, they don't have a lot of NHLers. They have Slavkovsky. They have a couple other minor league guys, Simon Nemec. There's a lot of good players on this Slovakia team, and I can't wait to see how they compete versus a team like Finland.
I want to pivot real quick. I'll come back to my most anticipated first game. But I want to move on to our next topic because you guys have already both been talking about it. We asked the question, what is going to be the most open pool of this tournament? And all three of us, before the show, agreed it's going to be Pool B. Jack, talk about this pool with Slovakia, Finland, Sweden, and Italy, and just how open it is and how this really could be anybody's pool.
Yeah, and it's not an open pool because these teams are bad. I think this pool's open because I think there's a lot of talent here. I mean, Sweden and Finland is a great rivalry that's going to produce some really good competition. I do agree with Seuss. I am worried about Finland without Sasha Barkov. I think that's such a huge piece for that team. Sweden, I think, is probably the favorite in this group. But again, I think there are some decent players on Team Slovakia. I think they could be a surprise. And again, you talk about Italy being the home country. I think this is a pretty open pool. I could see, realistically, probably 3 of the 4 having a chance to win the group. I don't know if Italy's going to have a chance. I think they might win a game or 2, but I don't know if they're going to be the best team in this group. But this is really anybody's group. I mean, Finland and Sweden, right there, that's a pretty good competition between those two. And then I think Slovakia as well. They've got some good NHLers on that team. This is really anybody's pool. And again, not to mention that team, Group A and Group C aren't as strong. Like Group C, I mean, you have Latvia and Denmark in Group C. I don't think either of them are going to do much. Group A, I think France might be the weakest team out of all the teams in the Olympics. Switzerland could be a surprise, but I'm not as high on them as other teams. I think Group B, I'm decently high on 3 of the 4 teams. And then the 4th team, Italy, is the home country, which you can never count them out. So I think by a pretty long shot, Group B is the favorite, or the most competitive group in this Olympics.
My worry with Finland right now is looking at the goaltending and the absence of Ukko-Pekka Lehtinen, who, in my opinion, would have been the starting goaltender for this team. You still have 3 NHLers in the net, but that's going to be an issue for them. Is you're going up in a very competitive group, like we're talking about, against some NHL caliber guys who are going to be, shooting the puck plenty. But they really lack that solid goaltender, in my opinion.
In my opinion, I think it's Sweden's group to lose. So if Sweden's goaltending is the 2 wild goaltenders and Jacob Markstrom, I love that. The defense pairings are really good. You have Dahlin, Hedman, Carlson, Lindholm, and Forsling. I love those. I love the defense. And then the forward group is very solid. You have William Nylander, Forsberg, Lindholm, Rickard Rakell, Elias Pettersson, Joel Eriksson Ek. It's a very stacked forward group. I think it's Sweden's pool to lose.
I agree. And I think Sweden might have one of the best rosters in this entire tournament. I'd be surprised if they don't come out on top of this group, but I do agree that it's going to be a very competitive one, and we're going to get some good games out of it. But the roster on paper in Sweden and the Minnesota goalie tandem, like Seuss just talked about, really sets them apart for me.
I think Finland would be really close on 2 conditions. Number 1, Sasha Barkov is playing, and number 2, we had the Hussein Saros of 3 years ago when he was top 3 in the Vezina Trophy race. I think if we had those 2 conditions, I think Finland would be very good. I mean, we might as well call Team Finland the Dallas Stars in the Olympics, because you have their top 4 players, arguably, are all stars. You have Mikko Rantanen, Rupe Hintz, Miro Heiskanen, and Esa Lindell. Those are probably the 4 best players on Team Finland right now, and they are all Dallas Stars, amazingly enough. But I definitely think that this is Sweden's group to lose. I agree with you. That being said, I will not be surprised if they don't win this group. There's a lot of good competition here. Team Slovakia, I think is a bit underrated here. And not to mention Finland, Sweden, anything can happen. I mean, Finland beat Sweden last year in the 4 Nations face-off. I think anything really could happen here. I'm looking at Slovakia's roster right now, and yeah, there's some players that I haven't really thought about that are good. I mean, we're going to see Tomas Tatar play again. I know, Seuss, you're kind of excited about seeing Tomas Tatar play. Juraj Slavkovsky is probably the best player on Team Slovakia this year, having a really nice year with the Montreal Canadiens. This is going to be a really fun group to watch, and one that I'm going to be paying very close attention to.
So let's go back to most exciting first game. I want to pivot from Group B to Group A. Talk about the opening matchup between Canada and Czechia. This is a matchup, we talked about this early in the show, where Canada's defense and goaltending is questionable. And the Czechs have a very solid, front line, and that's about it. I'm excited for this game, not because I necessarily believe it's going to be great, but this is a game that has the ability to set the tone for the rest of the tournament. If Czechia can come out and get a big statement win against this Canadian team and, jumble up this group and really flip this tournament upside down of what we expected from Team Canada, which I really think is possible. Yeah, I think there's a chance. I think that the Czechs could come out firing and really shock Team Canada in an opening game.
Yeah, this could be like not a March Madness style upset because it's not a 1 versus 16. But if the Czechs get a win, it could really get Canada shaking. Like the U.S. it could get us at some point, Sweden, Finland, and if the Czechs get them, the Czechs get them. It would be a great start to the tournament if they do.
Yeah, I really, really like this Czech roster. And the strength that they have over Team Canada is their goaltending. They have phenomenal goaltending. And I think that's going to give Team Canada some fits in this game. I'm not sure if the Czechs are actually going to win this game, but I agree. I think this is probably the best game of the opening ones. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this Czech team comes out against probably the best team in the world on paper.
All right, Jack, I want to ask you this question now. We've already talked about, I think, all these teams, but who is the surprise team of the tournament? Who's going to make a statement and surprise everybody?
There's no question it's the Czechs. I'm 100% behind this. I think there's a realistic shot they could win a medal at the Olympics. Call me crazy. I don't care.
You're crazy.
I think I look at this roster. I really like a lot of pieces. I mean, you have Pasta. Pasta's probably one of the 5 best players in the league this year. That's your headlining piece. That's an amazing piece. Now, sure, Germany has one of those too in Leon Draisaitl, but the rest of the Czechs roster is way better than Germany's roster. Marty Nate is having a phenomenal year in Colorado. You have Andre Palat, a really good veteran piece. Pavel Zacha, Tomas Hertl. On the defense core, you have Retko Gudas from Anaheim. And then on the goal, again, you have 3 really good goalies. Vladar's had a great year. Dostal has just gotten an extension. He's really good. Vejmelka's had some good performances with Utah. I really think that the Czechs could surprise a lot of people, and I really think it's on the back of David Pastrnak, who I think is just going to show out at the Olympics. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the National Hockey League today. I think he can put himself on the map with a performance in the Olympics that I think he's going to have.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Going back to what I just said, I think that the Czechs have a chance, especially in the pool they're playing in, where really their only true competition, in my opinion, is Team Canada. They have the chance to set themselves up really well once we get into the tournament and the knockout stages. I believe in this Czech team, and like you said, on paper they look great. Goaltending is excellent on paper. Yeah, Seuss, what do you think about the Czechs?
They're a really good team all around. That top line is going to be crazy, and like you said, the goaltending is just amazing for them. That's what sets them apart from a team like Canada. And depending on how U.S.'s goaltending is awesome, but depending on how Connor Hellebuck plays, I think the Czechs possibly could have better goaltending.
Do you think that Dostal or Vladar's your opening night goalie?
I think it's Vladar, just with the year he's had.
Yeah.
Dostal's been a bit on the downward spiral. I think Dan Vladar's probably your starter. But again, you have 2 other NHL goalies you could turn to if Vladar doesn't play well. So I really think that the Czechs have a great shot, and I think it really is all about their goaltending, which you could argue is the best out of any team in the Olympics.
Yeah, well, and that's the strength of international hockey, is that you're putting together 3 arguably, top half percentile in the NHL. Like, these are 3 guys who are arguably in the top 16 goalies in the league, potentially, for a given national team. And so that's the strength of Olympic hockey, where if one guy can't show up, you have 2 more that are at that caliber you can turn to.
I think the Czechs are one good defenseman away from really being taken seriously in this tournament. I think that's where they lack, is their blue line core.
Oh, absolutely.
But other than that, I think they have enough in the forward group, and I think they have more than enough goaltending-wise to make a statement here. They're basically...
there's only 2 NHL defensemen on this team.
Yeah, only 2. And Radko Gudas and Filip Hronek aren't exactly lighting up the stat sheet.
Right.
Neither are really in the Vezina conversation, but with the way this forward group is and the way the goaltending is, I just think that they are really going to surprise people. Finish top 5, no question. I think they're one of the 5 best rosters in the Olympics. And again, I could absolutely see them taking home a bronze in the Olympics. I don't think it wouldn't surprise me. It surprises a lot of people, but it would not surprise me with the way this roster is.
Right. Seuss, who's your surprise team?
My surprise team is Switzerland. That top line of Hischier, Fiala, and Timo Meier is really good. But when you compare it to Canada, that'll be their 3rd line. I feel like it really comes down to, for Switzerland, what Akira Smith are you going to get? Are you going to get 2023 NHL playoffs Akira Smith? Or are you going to get present-day Akira Smith when he's just all right? That's what it comes down to. I like the defense pairing. Yossi, Moser, Siegenthaler, 3 good NHL defensemen. Like you said, if you plug like a Yossi on Czech, they're a pretty good team. So they're just missing that one key defenseman. But I feel like Switzerland has it. Will they win their group pool? I don't think so. But they'll at least show they can compete with those teams.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that it won't happen, because that's the point of a surprise team, is that it's surprising. But just on paper, there's nobody that
You're saying Nico
that
Hischier?
I look at and think, yeah, they could really, tear up some ice and lead this team into
I think that top line
a
could.
quarterfinal. Okay.
I'm not as believer in a team Switzerland for one reason. It's because of the way that the Devils look when Jack Hughes was out. I mean, Nico Hischier, Timo Meier are two of your headlining pieces, and they both looked awful with Jack Hughes out of the lineup in New Jersey. And the Devils are still they're still being affected by that. They've had an awful year, it's really shocking considering how weak the Metro is. But I just do not know if there is that real top forward piece on Team Switzerland. Again, Roman Yossi's an outstanding headline piece on the blue line core, but you've got to put pucks in the back of the net, and I'm just not sure if there's anybody in this forward group who I really trust in doing that. And again, if Akira Schmidt plays like the way he has this year, I just don't know if Team Switzerland has much of a shot. I think they can surprise people. I just don't think they will. I think they need a bit more in the forward group than they have right now.
Yeah, and I also think that Switzerland has issues because of their group, or they're playing with Canada and Czechia in group play. And so once we get into the knockout stage, they're going to be pinning themselves into a pretty low seed and getting matched up with somebody like a Canada or like a US or like a Sweden in the second round. And yeah, I don't think they go far. But again, they could surprise me.
100% agree.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's enough build-up on this roster, but again, they could certainly surprise people. I think it really comes down to how Nico Hischier plays and how Akira Schmidt play. There's a lot of Devils or former Devils here on Team Switzerland. It's really weird, but I'm looking forward to watching Switzerland play. I'm just not as high on them as I am on like the Czech Republic, for example, or Czechia, whatever you want to call them.
My surprise team is a team that, kind of like the Swiss, will have to be a genuine surprise. That's Team Germany. Leon Draisaitl is leading the way with them, but then after that, there's not a whole lot of NHL talent on this team. Looking down the roster, it shows their professional team, a lot of teams I've never even heard of. But Philip Grubauer's in the net. And I think that, like Jack mentioned, that has the potential to be, because you have to be a good goaltender for 2 weeks. That's all you got to do. And that's very possible for a guy like Ruby, who has big game experience. He's been around the league for a while. He's a proven vet. And in this pool, in this group that Germany's playing in, you just have to outplay Denmark and Latvia, and you're already moving to a quarterfinal spot.
Absolutely, especially with Leon Draisaitl headlining the group. I mean, Leon Draisaitl is almost like a David Pastrnak, where he could also just have an unbelievable Olympics, wearing his country on wearing the Germany flag, and I'm really excited to see the way that he and the rest of this team play. And again, if you mentioned it, if you get playoff Gruby, big game Gruby, I think there's a chance that Germany could definitely surprise people. I mean, again, their only competition in Group C is the United States, and Germany could absolutely outplay the United States. There's no question about it.
And what's so fun is that Germany and the U.S. are the last game of that group. And so my assumption and my plan is that both of them will be undefeated at that point. They'll both be 2-0 against Denmark and Latvia, and they'll get the chance to play each other for that top spot in the group.
That would be unbelievable. I would love to see that. Leon Draisaitl headlining Germany, all those great defensemen on Team USA. Yeah. That would be a phenomenal matchup if we get it. I think it'd be a very low-scoring game with both those teams having great goaltending.
Yeah.
My only thing is with Team Germany is how bad they are defensively. Besides Seider, I feel like if they run into a team like US or Canada, they're going to get absolutely lit up.
Yep, but my counter to that is that I don't know how bad these defensemen are because they're not even NHL guys. It's not a roster of guys that are, C, tier NHL defensemen. It's a roster full of guys that are playing on German teams. I don't know what kind of caliber defensemen these are. We'll see. I'm not saying that I think they're going to be good, but I'm saying I don't know what to expect from these German guys.
They have a 39-year-old defenseman on the roster.
Yeah, and he's going to be great.
And he's going to get absolutely cooked by Jack Eichel down the wing. That's the thing. You're playing younger guys. So if you have a bunch of older defensemen from Germany and they haven't played the top-tier talent like the NHL guys have, then I feel like they're not going to last long.
Yeah, well, that's why you have Philip Grubauer in net.
Exactly.
All right. Let's move into the big one, the big pick of the night. Seuss, we'll go with you. Who is the champion of Olympic hockey in 2026?
All right, I'm going to sound really basic here. Give me Team Canada. The Team Canada's goal scoring, I feel like, is going to be way too much for any team to handle. But like we mentioned a couple times, the defense pairing, besides the first one, is pretty weak. The goaltending is pretty bad if Logan Thompson doesn't step up and play well. If Jordan Binnington starts, if you don't get Jordan Binnington on TD Garden Ice, it's not going to go well for Team Canada. But if you get Four Nations Jordan Binnington, they're going to win this tournament by a landslide. Their goal scoring is going to be way too much, I think, for anyone to handle. When it's like the opposite for Team US, where I feel like they're really good defensively and in net, but they can't score.
Yeah, I think Team Canada is probably the favorite. I mean, with all those great players in the forward group, I mean, that top power play unit's going to be ridiculous. With McDavid, McKinnon, McCarr, all of those great players. And they're definitely the favorite. It really comes down to how their goaltending plays.
Yeah.
But I think Team Canada is, again, 100% the favorite. I mean, Sidney Crosby, he shows up in big games. The golden goal in 2010, played great in the Olympics last year. Connor McDavid scored the winner. They have big-time players on Team Canada. And I think that they have a very, very good chance of winning the Olympics this year.
Who do you think is that, assuming that, okay, we'll say hypothetically, Canada's playing in the Olympic Championship tomorrow. No other games have happened before that. Who is their goalie in that championship game? Because out of the three of them, there's really nobody that I believe stands out as like, yes, that is your goalie number one.
I'm going to say Logan Thompson.
I agree. I think it's Logan Thompson, but does he stand out that much as that definitive number one?
I think he does.
Really?
He's had a really good year this year in Washington.
I think we just don't think about it because the Caps have been playing that well. But Logan Thompson's really the only reason that they're like not like one of the worst teams in the Metro.
That is true.
I just think it's because he's not on a good team. That's why that he hasn't gotten as much praise. I mean, he has a .912 save percentage this year. That's not nothing. It's pretty good. I mean, sure the results haven't really been there, but again, it's because the Caps don't score enough. Just gonna say it flat out.
All right.
And I think that Logan Thompson has a chance with a much better forward group around him. I think Logan Thompson's probably your guy for Team Canada.
Yeah, I mean, they'll need him to show up just because of this defense group right now, where, like we said, the top of the defensemen are very strong, but then after that, you're going to need your goalie to show up. And I agree that Logan Thompson, I think, is your strongest, but I don't believe in him for a whole 2-week span of playing against the world's best. But I don't believe in any of them playing in a 2-week span.
I don't believe any goalie in this whole tournament. I don't believe in.
Oh no, there is not.
Ooh.
Well,
Jake on, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
If Team Russia was in, I would believe in Vasilevsky, Sorokin, or Shesterkin.
Oh yeah,
Team
absolutely.
Russia should have a team.
I'm so annoyed that they don't. I mean,
They would be so good.
Team Russia would have the best. They'd have the best
Well,
forward group.
When you take steroids,
Team Russia would have the best forward group and the best goaltending of any team in the Olympics.
Would be shaky.
Defensemen would be the weakness. Forward group, goalies, forward would be the best.
Are there even Russians competing in the Olympics? Because I know they've done it before, where the nation of Russia is banned, but like individuals still compete as like of the nation of Russia or something weird like that. But are there any Russians in the Olympics this year?
And
in any sport?
I don't know, probably. But just think about it for a second. Like no Ovechkin.
We were talking about this. I think when we were in California. This would be ridiculous.
No Ovechkin, no Panarin, no Kucherov, no Kaprizov. Like that top power play unit would be the best in this tournament by far. It's really, really unfortunate that we are not going to see any players from Russia playing Olympic hockey because I think they would have a pretty real chance of winning the whole thing. To be honest, I probably would have picked them actually to win the whole thing.
What pool would you put them in then?
Well, I mean, one of these teams would have to be out.
Yeah, I mean, France.
Yeah. I mean, that Group A would be unbelievable if they put them in Group A.
See, then I think you would have, switched. You would have put,
They have 4.
Slovakia in Group A and then
Russia in Group B.
No, because that makes Group B way too good. Put Denmark in Group A and put Russia in Group C. Put U.S. and Russia against each other in group play.
Russia has 4 good goaltenders potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That's
didn't
crazy.
mention
Bobrovsky too.
We didn't even mention. We didn't mention Bobrovsky. They would have had an unbelievable roster. I mean, all those great forwards too: Panarin, Ovechkin, Kaprizov, Kucherov.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
All right, Jack, who's your pick for champion?
Okay, well, I didn't want any of us to have the same teams. I didn't want to be boring.
Right.
I'm gonna go with the U.S. I'm not sure how realistic this is, but I like the way this roster looks. More so looking at it, and we also haven't talked about the U.S. at all in this entire episode. I think it really comes down to the defense core. This defense core is by far the best out of any team in the Olympics. Just the balance they have. I mean, you have some great defensive defensemen. Jacob Slavin, the headlining piece of that. He was unbelievable in the Four Nations face-off last year for Team U.S. Maybe the best player actually out of any U.S. player in the Four Nations. McAvoy, again, another good defensive defenseman. Noah Hannafin. You also have those Norris Trophy candidates. Quinn Hughes, a former Norris Trophy winner. Zach Werenski, probably the most underrated defenseman in the entire league right now. Probably, I think he's a top 3 defenseman. You might think I'm crazy. Zach Werenski is an unbelievable defenseman. I mean, I've been watching a lot of Columbus Blue Jackets hockey lately because of how good they've been. And Zach Werenski is the best player on the ice whenever he's on the ice. Not to mention Jake Sanderson, another young rising star. I'm excited to see Jackson Lacombe on this roster. You have Brock Faber, another awesome young defenseman. And I think there is enough balance on this forward core. I think they're going to be physical. I mean, I love the addition of Tage Thompson to this roster. You're getting a 6'8" forward on Team USA. Imagine him on a line with the Kachuk brothers. That would be probably the most physical, most intimidating line out of any line in the Olympics. I think it really comes down to how Austin Matthews plays. If Austin Matthews can be prime Austin Matthews in the Olympics, there might not be a team better than the U.S. Jake Gensel, he plays best in the playoffs in big games. Jack Eichel, Kyle Connors had a great year. Jack Hughes, again, Devils are kind of ride and die with him. Dylan Larkins had a good year. Brock Nelson, good veteran presence. Now, we can forget about the 2 Rangers in the forward core. Abomination with those. How did Adam Fox not make Team USA? Imagine the defense core with Adam Fox. This is already an amazing defense core. Imagine it with Adam Fox. Now, in terms of the goaltenders, I don't know who's going to be the starter.
I was just about to ask that.
I think Swayman. I'd go with Jeremy Swayman.
Swayman's looked really good this year.
I would start Swayman, but I will not be surprised if at some point in this tournament, Hellebuck is your
It's the
starter.
same situation with the Czechs, though, where even if one of these guys don't play well, you have 2 other NHLers to turn to in that situation. But I really think that the U.S.
This might be the best goalie unit in the.
I think it is.
I think it is.
I think it's between the U.S. and maybe Sweden or Czech. I don't know, but I think it's going to come down to their ability to just shut down opposing offenses, which I think they're going to do pretty well. And in terms of the forward group, you're going to need Austin Matthews, but I think Jake Gensel is going to be the big piece offensively for them in this tournament. Jake Gensel shows up in big games. He's had an unbelievable year in Tampa. I think he's, again, another player that is just so underrated, and I really think that the U.S. has a chance. I mean, that power play unit, it's going to be, you're going to have Matthews, Matthew Tkachuk, Jake Gensel, Jack Eichel, and probably Zach Werenski on that. That's a great top power play unit. The penalty killing is going to be amazing. I think it really comes down to U.S., Canada, Sweden. I think the U.S., though, with just their ability to shut down those other 2 offenses, their physicality, I think they have a real shot of winning.
I think what the U.S. benefits from is they're going to have the ability to build momentum in group play. Because if Germany isn't the team that they could be, if Germany plays at the level that I kind of expect them to, which is, a little bit underwhelming, they're going to kind of sit, better than Latvia and Denmark, but still not a contender. The U.S. has the chance to go through group play, winning games, 5-0, 6-0, 8-0.
Yeah.
Could be their first 3 games. And they're riding high into the knockout stage. So I think that's one of their strengths, is that they're not going to have to, shake off close games or bad losses through the group play. They're going to have the chance to really gel and really get this team going by the time that, it gets serious.
My whole thing is with this U.S. team, when they lost the 4 Nations last year, they didn't have Clayton Keller, they didn't have Tage Thompson, and they didn't have Quinn Hughes. And he's such a big part of this defense, Quinn Hughes. He's pretty much the leader of this defense in my mind. So I think getting Clayton Keller on this team is another goal-scoring aspect. Adding Tage Thompson, like you said, if you put him with the Kachuk brothers, that's a great line. This team, I feel like, has a little more depth than they did last year at 4 Nations.
Yeah, this might be the deepest team.
Not to mention that Matthew Tkachuk missed the majority of the championship game. You get a healthy Matthew Tkachuk back. I don't know if they don't have. I don't think their ceiling is as high as Team Canada, but I would argue that their roster is more well balanced than Team Canada's.
And their goaltending is way better than Team Canada's.
Way better, and so is their defense.
So is their defense, and that's part of it, is that when you get down into the semifinals, championships of these tournaments, and it's U.S. Canada, U.S. Sweden, the team that's going to keep you to 1 goal, 2 goals, 0 goals is the team that's going to win, because Canada can shoot the lights out and shoot the puck 80 times in a game and score 6 goals. But when you're actually going up against a real defense and real goaltenders, and you're going to have to hope that your goaltenders also show up, that's when I think Canada's going to run out of gas.
I 100% agree. I really think it's all about the defense core here. You know what they say, defense wins championships.
Oh, yeah. So I want to move into a team that I think is also very good defensively and in net. The team that I think is going to win the championship at this Winter Olympics, and that is Team Sweden. Sweden looks really good on paper to me. This was a team that I kind of wasn't expecting. I feel like every time, whether it's Four Nations or World Juniors or Olympics, they're kind of an under the radar team where it's like you don't really expect it, but they're very good on paper. Forsberg, Kempe, Landeskog, Nylander, Pedersen even, Zibanejad. This is a team that not a whole lot of those, stars, top tier guys, but I think it's a roster that can really work well together, and they're very deep, and the goaltending's so good. When you have Gustafsson, Markstrom, and Wallstedt all in net for you, I really think that this Sweden team is built to go the distance, and it's kind of the opposite of what I was just saying about how the U.S. is going to be able to plow through their group and get gelled. Sweden's playing in the toughest group in the tournament, and I think that they benefit from that, where you're going to have the chance to really play good competition early. When you're a Swedish team who's going up against the Finnish and the Slovakians and even the host Italians, you're weathering those storms early, and you're going to be able to use that when you're going up against a Canada or U.S. later in the tournament.
100% agree. I think I think they have probably the best veteran experience out of any of these teams. I think they're gonna play really disciplined hockey. It is unfortunate that Leo Carlsson's not gonna play in the Olympics. That would have been a really nice addition on that forward group. Yeah, I get one of those young pieces on that forward group, but I think as is, Sweden has a great chance. I think a really underrated piece is Lucas Raymond, who's had an unbelievable year with the Red Wings. I think he's gonna really help this forward group. And again, you have just some of these really good veterans like a Kempe, a Landeskog.
Victor Hedman's on this team.
Victor Hedman's that big defensive guy that we were talking about that the Czechs are lacking.
Ekman Larsson's on this team.
Gustav Forsling. Gustav Forsling's like Jacob Slavin, a great defensive defenseman who doesn't get talked about enough.
Yep.
You have Rasmus Dahlin. Rasmus Dahlin's probably the best defenseman on Team Sweden this year.
Rasmus Andersson's really good as well.
Yep.
Rasmus Andersson's been good, although the Knights have actually been playing really bad since he got traded there, which is kind of funny. The big question, I think, is who do you start at goaltender? These are three pretty good goaltenders. I think it's between the two Wild goalies.
I agree.
Yeah,
but
Markstrom's not had a great year at all.
And that's even the funny thing is that it's rare to have two goalies on the same national team who play for the same NHL team. But the fact that you have to even choose between the two of them is remarkable. Like the Wild have had issues picking out who's going to be your day one goalie, and so will Team Sweden. I think it's Wallstedt, but I really could see it going either way.
I think because Sweden, this roster is really built around veteran experience. I would not be surprised if they start Gustafsson.
I was just, as soon as I said that, I was like, but Gustafsson has more experience.
And this Sweden team is really built on experience, and I think that's why they're going to be so dangerous, because I just don't think that they're going to be taking a lot of penalties. I think they're just going to play really smart hockey.
Ethical hockey.
Exactly. And I think there is enough balance. I think out of any team in the Olympics, they have just balance at all three position levels. Because, you have the U.S. kind of lacking in the forward group. Yep. You have Canada lacking in the defense core. You have the Czechs also lacking in the defense core. You have Finland lacking in the goalies. But I think Sweden is just, I wouldn't say they're elite at any of these three levels, but they're just balanced at all three, which is very important. Although I will argue they might be elite goaltender-wise if Gustafsson and Wallstedt play the way they have all year.
Yep. I think that there's a very real chance that if Sweden is as good as they could be, they cruise through group play. I think there's an absolute chance where we talk about how good Group B could be as a whole, but
like I said, Sweden's group to lose.
There's a possibility in my mind where Sweden just blows out all three of them, and they are seriously on the map to win the whole thing.
I 100% agree. I think as long as they stay healthy, as long as they play disciplined hockey, which I expect them to do, I think they have a really, really good shot of winning this whole thing. And that'd be really cool too, just to see Sweden win, just to see a new team win the Olympics. And there are just so many veterans on this roster just don't get enough respect in the NHL. Maybe them all playing together for Team Sweden, maybe they will just all have the games of their lives and go win the whole thing, which I think they could absolutely do.
And I think they'll get some Swedish fans over in Milan as well.
I think there will be. I definitely think there will be.
Yeah. All right, we'll wrap this one up. Jack, any final thoughts?
Well, I'm just going to mention Team France real quick, since we didn't mention Team France at all in this whole episode. So I just had to make sure we got them in there.
Who's one person on Team France?
I don't know.
Let's check him out.
Oh, Alexander Texier.
Is he?
Oh, yeah.
Alexander Texier. I do know. I think he's the only NHLer on the whole team.
I don't even
There might be one defenseman.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
Is there a defenseman on Team France?
Nope.
No? Okay.
There's a bunch of names that I don't know.
Yeah, every name I don't know other than Texier.
So, okay, the roster I'm looking at, it says the team, it says the player and then their professional team. They have a forward named Charles Bertrand. The team that he plays for is called Sport. Sport. Charles Bertrand from Sport.
Shout out Brandon Wallace for this.
Sport.
Shout out Brandon Wallace for that one. Yeah, but France, they're not gonna win a game. I just had to mention them because
they're just there for fun.
Yeah, I had to mention them though because I'd feel bad if we didn't mention all 12 teams in the Olympics at some point.
What a time where we don't get Team Russia, but we get Team France.
It's ridiculous. Where's team? Why is Norway not in this?
That's another good question. I don't know. Well, that'll do it for us. Looking forward to an excellent Winter Olympic Games. We will see you next week. This has been the Dump and Chase podcast presented by the Hoosier Network. I'm Noah Bedorith with Jack Rizzo and Noah Seuss. We'll see you next week.